Yo, yo, what's the word? This is Israel Jones, repping Gainesville, Florida. Matter of fact, all in North Florida right now, Newark, New Jersey. And you're rocking with Off the Block with Urban View. Come on.
All right, so first question, how has your block or neighborhood shaped the best of you, not only as a person, but also as an artist?
Man, my block was everything, because my block wasn't even really a block. It's more like a dirt road. I come from like back roads, country, southern shit, dirt roads. Everybody's riding like a little dirt bike around, bicycling around the neighborhood. And I would like spend so many summers being outside, playing football, running, diving on the concrete, diving on the grass, riding my neighborhood around this same continuous loop, listening to rap, dissecting Common, dissecting Casey Veggies, dissecting Zaywalk over and over and over again. So it felt huge, even though it was a small, tight-knit community, a block that most people would probably look over. At the same time, I felt like I was on top of the world when I had rap with me, So that's how I was spending my time on my block.
You love to hear it. Now, I gotta ask you, how do you represent the sound of your neighborhood through your music and your style?
Oh man, everything I do is so authentically, unapologetically Southern. I try to rep that as much as I can. I'm from the South. We have the best rappers. We're influence on culture is incredible, And I rep that, because, us as a people, we all have ties back to the South, in some kind of way. So I rep that with a sense of pride, not a sense of shame. And my block taught me that. So that's always going to be in my music, no matter where I'm at, in the middle of New York. Still in the South with it, though.
Again, salute to the South. And this ties into my next question. In your honest opinion, does Southern hip hop get the love it deserves from fans today? And how do you want to use your music to continually uplift the genre moving forward?
I would say yes and no. I think at this point, we all know about On Behalf of the South. We all know about that. At this point, we all had Amigos era. We all was here for T.I. We was all here for Lil Jon. I feel like at this point, we should know, or it should be known, the influence that the South has, But I don't think us in the South know that, Which is why I write songs like On Behalf of the South, where that song is really coming from like a pissed off angle of like, I don't get my credit. But if you look around, look how the South, they got grills, in different continents. Like, that's unbelievable. Our influence is more than even what we think, even what we put our mind on. So I think so in that sense, but in the sense of just how incredibly creative some people from the South are, I would say no. I don't think people understand like the true lyrical density you find in some Southern MCs. Specifically, if you're talking about rap, if you want to get into like music, that's a whole nother story. Like music as a whole we can get into, but specifically rap, I don't think people really understand how lyrically incredible some of us are too. Some of the things that we're doing might not be like the perfect lyric to a lyricist, might not be the perfect rhyme scheme, but if you listen to Bankroll Fresh, it's like one of the craziest rappers to me, And it might not be the most lyrical to you, but the way that he's rapping, it's incredible,
Now that was definitely a great answer. Now I got to get back to your own music, Israel. When someone presses play on your music for the first time, what do you want them to walk away with?
I'd probably just say to feel like, there's somebody there that can relate. I know I have my own cultural upbringing and things that I go through in my life that's going to be inherently different from person to person. But at the end of the day, we all people. We all have things that connect us, Things that disconnect us as well. From others and from ourselves, And I try to put that in the music. I'm not perfect. I'm just a man trying my best, Trying to be the best version of myself, to love myself, to love my family. I think everybody wants that, So I try to have the music reflect that. So I want people to feel that, when they listen to it.
And again, we can hear a lot of that on your newest project, Go With God. Now, what inspired the creation of that album? And was there anything that you wanted to prove to yourself or your doubters in this new era?
Oh man, great question. When I get done with a project, I'm usually already thinking about the next one. And that's before it comes out to the public. Like at the tail end of me finishing the project, my brain is already like, okay, what's next? I'm already thinking about what's next. It's 2024. I wanted to drop Good Time. I was working on the Feels Like Forever compilation, but I had this idea of doing this real Southern tape, real Southern inspired tape. And I was working on it for about 6 months till my partner who did it, Roth, was like, bro, chill. Like, you're working on too much right now. Like, you're doing too much, bro. Like, vibe. But the seed was planted. So I want to say around like, I picked it back up in July 2024, made the first song that was on there on behalf. That was the first song that I really wrote that stayed on the album, was on behalf of the South in like September. And since then I just built upon it, and I know I wanted to do something that was Southern. I know I wanted to talk about me leaving, but also me, leaving my past behind, leaving my shadow behind, me growing into a new person, coming into a new city. I know I wanted to tackle all of that and just showcase what my journey has been like, fully, authentically, in every which way. And I was able to do that, and I really didn't have anything to prove it to myself. I was at home when I wrote this album. Good, cooked food for my mama, being in the sun, feet on the grass, not having to wake up and go to work, like I was trying to work a job and the universe was like, no, nigga, work on this album. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, man, I only had to prove it to myself and I did that, so.
When it comes to an answer like that, honestly, it makes a lot of sense.
Right.
You've been having a lot of different experiences recently. I mean, moving from the South, now you're in Newark, New Jersey. You're still between Jersey and the New York area. You're trying to make it big with your hip hop. And honestly, there's so many ways that hip hop has opened up so many doors for you. You're even able to be a guest lecturer at the University of Florida as well.
Right.
A rare opportunity that not a lot of people get.
Right.
So for you, in your own words, how impactful has hip hop been in your life, opening doors and allowing you to impact others outside of the booth?
Oh man, hip hop has been everything for me. It's the most impactful thing ever. When you tried to give me a list of favorite lyrics, I'm still trying to think of them over here as we speak because it's just so many. Hip hop is everything to me, man. It was given to me by my father, who showed me the pureness, the rawness of it. Being in 4th grade, listening to Black Star, listening to New America Volume 1, listening to Far Side, listening to Tribe, listening to Nas, listening to Grandmaster Flash at 9 years old, 10 years old, soaking up all of this knowledge was everything for me, I fell in love with rap. I fell head over heels with rap. And I just had a different understanding of not only was it this incredible tool that can make you feel so much on a spiritual level, but there's so many educational gems that's embedded within hip hop that people don't know about. And I've always pushed that. Even in high school, I was doing essays on rap. They asked me who my favorite poet was. I said Kendrick. Like that's always been my goal, to push both of those things. And it's beautiful to be able to do that. This is things that I literally dreamed about at 9, 10 years old that I've been working my whole life to do. So I wasn't even nervous when doing that lecture. I was like, man, I've been doing this my whole life, So hip hop is that much to me. It's made that kind of impact. And it's made that impact on so many other people, too. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And also probably a scary thing, which is why it gets the reputation that it gets from people who don't understand.
You talked about it in your answer. You've been doing this for such a long time in hip hop. Again, from where you started to where you are now, what has the journey been like for you, just taking a step back from the outside looking in?
Oh, man. It's been incredible, It comes with its ups and downs, When you're first rapping, it's out of this pure thing. I just like to rap. I was walking around my house just saying silly rhymes and my families would recite them back to me, Like I was like any other kid. I heard Black and Yellow on the radio. Now I want my own Black and Yellow, you know what I mean? So it started off as this pure thing, But as I grew older, as I started to realize my ability, as early as 13, 14, my shift focus from trying to go to the NFL to be like, oh, I think I'm being called to do something else. And with that came even greater opportunities for my spirit to feel incredible, but it also came the idea of like, I think I can do this as my job. I think this is so powerful that like this could be my career. And that comes with, like, okay, that's what you want. Here's what you're gonna have to go to get through it. And that comes with its trials, its anxieties, its doubts, its worries, its fears, but that's all part of the journey. So I'm proud of myself, for little me, for having a dream and watching it grow, And I think the goal is, if you have a gift, from God, from the universe, whatever you want to call it, is to not only do it like it's your job, like it's everything to you, but do it with that same passion that you did it with when you was little and there wasn't a dollar sign behind it, and that wasn't your goal. Your goal was just to do it. That's how I try to be rap these days, just do it, because it's that much fun to me.
And again, you have to love it, especially as creatives, having that spark when you're younger and being able to build on it and actually make an impact as you get older is something that you love to see. And now I do got to ask you this, as the author of your own story, obviously in hip hop, we know you already talked about it. Rappers being poets, rappers being, Shakespearean with it at times, right?
Right.
So for you, as the author of your own story, what would the title of your next chapter be, and why should your fans be excited?
Wow. I thought about that a lot, because I try to my albums are like chapters of my life. So when I was in high school, early college, I had this God pen, God is real, God's people thing. That was one chapter. Then, I call it the next chapter, like It Happened For You, where I talk about, it's from Braun to really good time, of my time in college as a man at FAMU. I'm thinking what do I want to call this next one? What's the overarching thing that I'm call it? What am I feeling? So it's great you asked that question, man. I think I would probably just say, for right now, what's coming to my head is walk into it. I feel like I went through so much, good and hard, for me to get here, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I feel like this is a chapter of my life I'm just supposed to walk into it. You did all the work to get here, trust it. You know what I mean? So I'll probably have a new answer next week, but right now that's what I'm gonna call it for sure. Yeah.
And again, there's a famous saying that God does not make mistakes. Your
Right.
journey has been one of one.
Right.
And we've been able to see you flourish in so many different ways.
Right.
This is only the beginning.
Right.
Now, before you get out of here, do you have anything else you want to say to the fans? Any new projects on the way? Anything else that you want to mention? What do you want to say to the fans?
I just want to say, man, thank you for everybody who's been rocking with me since the way back. I don't know how many people stay here since 2018, 2019. I've been rapping for over 15 years now. I appreciate every single kind word. Like I said, at the end of the day, I'm a person, I'm a human first. So, if you ever see me, you bump into me, man, want a picture, want to dap up, want to, whatever, understand how it feels, I always wish I could tell my goats how much they meant to me. So being on the opposite side of that is a blessing to have people do the same thing, and I'm always going to be open to that. In terms of new music, man, go get that Go With God. Album of the year, you know what I'm saying? Go get that. That's timeless. That's that's everything. And stay tuned, man. I got some really cool new stuff coming up. I had a bunch of old stuff I was sitting on, and I was thinking about getting rid of it, but I've been making new rap. So I'm what? I want people to hear where I'm at now. Even the stuff that Go With God, you're really hearing to the latest spring 2025 version of me. There's been so many things that have happened since then. I need people to hear that. So that's what's finna come next. Yo, this has been Israel Jones with URBNVIEW Off the Block. Thank y'all for tuning in. You can follow me at Israel Jones, 2 eyes on Instagram, at TikTok, 2 eyes Israel Jones, and on streaming platforms, Israel Jones. Go get at me. Appreciate you.